Last year,
It's happened!
they went and took it.
He struck him out looking!
This year,
The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
they're here to run it back.
It's over!
This is Bleav in Texas Rangers, hosted by Mitch Ferreldis.
Welcome into another episode of Bleav in Texas Rangers. It is the final week of the Major League Baseball season. It feels like it took us forever to get here, and then next thing you know, you blink and where did the season go? Kind of feeling for at least me. I don't know how most of y'all feel, but I'm sure at some point some of you maybe have gotten to a breaking point and just wanted this particular season to be over with, given how much of a World Series hangover it really was for the Rangers this year. So we're recording this on a Thursday, just before what will be the final game ever played at the Oakland Coliseum in Oakland, Alameda County. And that's kind of where we're going to start. So this will probably be the least Texas Rangers thing that I will talk about on any pods or any of the episodes that you may have heard in the past leading up to now and maybe going into the off season. This is just about to be me speaking as a baseball fan, me speaking as someone who's watching this amazing tradition die, for lack of a better expression. This particular stadium, this particular team, and this particular county and city have gone through so much in the last 10 years, even, from the basketball team moving to San Francisco, the football team departing for Las Vegas, and now you've got the Oakland Athletics, who for the next few years are going to be playing in Sacramento before they eventually end up in Las Vegas. At least that's what their owner, John Fisher, would like. Not a lot of us would like, for the record. And I'm not going to go too deep into the history and all of the back and forth, but suffice it to say, baseball fans are mad. Not just the ones that are in Oakland, not just the ones that are A's fans, because this is truly the end of a historic franchise and location. This was the last major professional sports team that plays in Oakland specifically. And now they had gone from 3 teams playing in that area, in that parking lot area, no less, to 0. 0 teams of the major professional 4 sports will be occupying space in either Rickey Henderson Field and the Oakland Coliseum, or what used to be the Oracle Arena, or the arena where the Warriors used to play. They now play in San Francisco. They're not too far away, but still, the idea of the teams and these professional teams playing in Oakland was something that was incredibly valuable to not just the local fan base, but to a lot of national fan base as well. Because that city brings character, and every city does this. The DFW does this as well. I don't want to discount any particular fan base. But the Oakland sports fan base is deep-rooted and loves their teams, and they get so passionate about their teams, even when they have been or are the lovable losers, per se, not to steal from the Chicago fan base, but the teams that they don't necessarily succeed, and there's not a lot of silver lining for them. Those fans still find a way to go out and support their teams because they love those teams. They grew up with those teams. Those teams are a part of their livelihood. And now, after today's day game, it's going to be over. That's going to be it. And I don't know if any of you were following some of the social media posts this morning. Fans were getting there hours before the gates were to open. And I mean hours, lining up to get in. Obviously, this is going to be a sellout, or as close to a sellout as the Coliseum can get, because they've only been so heavily occupied in the last couple of years. At the way that John Fisher has handled this has been sad. Really, really sad. And yes, I'm putting full blame on the owner for this. I know that there's negotiation tactics of saying, well, if you're not going to care about giving us a new stadium or upgrades, then we're just going to tank the product, blah, 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 blah. and we're going to threaten to leave, blah, 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 blah. I get it. It's nothing new for me. Here in Arizona, the Coyotes, gone. The National Hockey League team. I've seen it firsthand. It's ugly. When sports and politics mix, it's not good. But John Fisher going to the lengths that he did to uproot a historic franchise. It's one thing when a team leaves only after a short period of time. It's another thing when a team leaves after being one of the truly original franchises, even though they moved from Philadelphia, one of the truly original franchises that had rooted themselves in the city of Oakland. And just like that, it's over. It's gone. Because they went for the money elsewhere. They didn't want to invest some of their own into making the product better. If anything, they just let the product get worse and bailed out on any big opportunities that they could have had. Like Marcus Semien, for example, an MVP candidate in his final season with Oakland. What did they do? Just let him go. Bye-bye. See ya. Go somewhere else. We don't want to pay you the money that you're definitely warranted of earning. We won't do that. Let's let Toronto do that instead. Let's let Texas do that instead. They can afford you. We don't want to pay you because you're going to be too good and too valuable for us. Even though the way that they got Marcus Semien was through a very, very smart trade where they were able to get him as like a secondary or third player, and he becomes one of the most valuable players on a really successful A's team. And yet all John Fisher cared about was protecting his personal bottom line. I get it. There's a balance between running a sports team like a business and running a sports team like an entertainment product for the fans. But it is still an entertainment product, and you have to lean into the entertainment aspect in order to profit like most businesses would. The saying is simple. You have to spend money to make money. And they didn't do any spending, which means they weren't going to make any money. And you could see it as a result of the fan attendance. Went way down as a result of all of the cost-cutting and purging that ownership group did over the last few years. It's really sad to see this come to an end. I went to the Coliseum earlier this year. My brother had never been before, and he wanted to go before it was the end of all times. I had a good time. I wore a Cell t-shirt to the game. The A's didn't win, but I could tell that it was an environment, and there's tradition that took place there. Raleigh Fingers and Dennis Eckersley were at the game that day. I could tell that it was supposed to be a sentimental day. Not just for them two, but for the fact that this is the final time that the Oakland A's will be playing in the Coliseum, and let alone in Oakland. I hope that eventually this leads to some sort of resolution where either John Fisher sells the team, that's I know what a lot of people are hoping for, or they somehow find some way to agree and make their way back to Oakland, whether it's renovation, new stadium, whatever it may be. But it's going to be really sad that it's only going to be like concerts. And I know there's a soccer team that plays professionally there in Oakland. I think the women's team that plays there. It's just sad. It's really sad. And I'm glad that the Rangers get to be a part of the last ever game because it brings significance not only to this podcast, but to a lot of you that are Rangers fans and that have grown up with the Rangers playing the A's so many times throughout the years. It's just a sad day for baseball. And I'm sure that the commissioner is going to come out with some statement about how sad this is, that this is the end, and thanks for the memory, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't care either. He cared about pocketing money from Las Vegas for getting a new stadium there and everything else. So, all right, enough about my rant about Oakland. If you want to catch the final game ever played in the Coliseum, it starts later today, midday. And I don't know how emotional it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be very, very emotional. All right, let's touch on a few other things. This will be a shorter version of the pod, and then we'll look ahead to the final series of the season, and then the podcast distribution will kind of slow from there as a result of, not much going on. When big news hits, you'll get emergency pods and stuff like that. But with the season winding down, there's a frequency decrease that's going to be coming. So we'll start with Josh Jung, officially put on season-ending injured list. He's still been dealing with that nagging wrist injury that goes all the way back to when he got hit by a pitch and his wrist broke in that series against Tampa way back in the beginning of April. He had been dealing with lingering issues of it just not fully feeling right. He was even asked about it. He was quoted as saying, just wants to get an answer as to why his wrist keeps acting up this way. I don't want my career to be defined by getting cortisone shots every 6 weeks. Truly, I just want to find an answer to what is going on. And then he mentions how the president of baseball operations, Chris Jung, told him that he needs to have a healthy offseason and not an offseason to get healthy, which there is a difference between those two phrases. An offseason to get healthy would imply that you're not going to be healthy during the offseason and you just want to get better. Whereas a healthy offseason is, don't worry about playing right now. Just be healthy for the offseason so that you could be ready to go when the calendar turns to February and pitchers and catchers are reporting back to Arizona. But this sucks because he had such a great rookie campaign. A runner-up for Rookie of the Year, if I'm remembering correctly, because Gunnar Henderson went just absolutely berserk in the last few months of the season the year ago. But Josh is still a valuable member of this team. He's obviously in his arbitration years, so he's not going to be going anywhere for a while. The problem is that the injuries now are going to play a factor into decision-making for the future. So what do I mean by that? Well, obviously, it means Josh Smith is going to get a lot more playing time, maybe Ezekiel Duran as well. But then how does that impact how the Rangers approach the offseason if they don't know if their starting third baseman is going to be healthy for a good majority or not? Do they then go aggressive and try and get a good, valuable depth piece? Or do they just find somebody who has the ability to play third base? Or do they work within and just have Justin Foscue get some reps at third base? Like they have options outside of Josh Jung. The problem is you want Josh Jung to be the first option. And he very much has not been able to be the first option that you want him to be so far this year. I hope that the wrist injury gets figured out. I hate to see that this is the reason why he's been held back and held out for as long as he has. It's something that's got to get fixed. He's a valuable part of this lineup. He's a valuable part of the defense. He's a valuable part of the team. And a healthy Josh Jung is going to help lead the Rangers back into postseason contention if they could get back there next year. So hope for a speedy recovery for Josh. It's a great kid, too. So I'm hoping for the best for him, and I hope that he does have that healthy offseason that Chris Jung wants him to have. I also want to check in to see how the rookie pitchers are doing, because a few weeks ago, I had mentioned how we're at the end of the season. This team's not going to make the playoffs. Injuries left and right. Like Max Scherzer's done for the year. You might as well see what you have in Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. Give them some extra reps. Jack Leiter had it very, very rough his first few outings. Looking at his numbers in the month of September specifically, or let's go back to when he was called up again, August 28th to start against the White Sox. 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, a couple of walks, 4 Ks on 83 pitches. Not bad. His next start was against the Yankees. He got through 5 innings, allowed 7 hits, 5 runs, and struck out 2 on 80 pitches. Could be better, but in comparison to some of his other starts, it's pretty good. September 7th against the Angels, 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs. He allowed a home run as one of those runs, a hit by pitch, a couple of walks, and 6 strikeouts on 86 pitches. So a little bit better, but there's some control issues there, as you can tell, just from the base stat line. And then the last few times that he's been used as a follower to Jacob deGrom, who's been getting starts, but he's not been getting hefty starts. So Jack Leiter against the Mariners, this was by far his best outing that he's had as a pro. 4 innings of relief, 3 hits, 2 runs, one of those runs being a home run, a couple of walks, and 6 strikeouts on 71 pitches. That was his best outing so far this season. And then he got a similar outing against the Mariners a week later, where he threw 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 7 runs, 2 of them home runs, a couple of walks, and 5 strikeouts. And at that point, he was just saving other arms in the bullpen, if we're being honest. So in full, not the best season for Jack Leiter, but some young players have had very rough starts to their career, then turned out to be all-stars. If we're going to set the bar at a reasonable height for Jack Leiter, a guy who was the number 2 overall pick. So to wrap up the season, he'll probably have another outing, but as it stands right now, he's an 0-3 record, a 9.74 ERA in 8 total games pitched, 32 and a third innings pitched. The strikeout rate per innings is pretty good. He's got 30 strikeouts over 32 and a third innings, which implies that he's going to get a lot of strikeouts when he gets more opportunities. Kumar Rocker, who's going to start this game upcoming here against the A's, has had 2 starts. One of them went great. The other one was a little shaky. I'm sure they'll want to get the pitch count down too, as I'll note here in a second. His first career start against the Mariners went 4 innings, allowed 3 hits, a run. It came in the form of a home run. Walked a couple batters, but then he struck out 7. But that also came on 74 pitches. So 74 pitches over 4 innings, it's a high workload and might not get you all the way to that 6-inning mark, which a lot of teams are hoping for nowadays. And then against the Blue Jays, this was a shorter outing. He went 3 innings, allowed a couple of hits, a run, hit a batter, walked 4, and struck out 5 on 71 pitches. So again, pitch count very much coming into play there for Kumar. He'll get another outing today. I'm curious to see how it goes. It'll be one that we'll reflect on in the next episode. But this is an opportunity for Kumar to prove that he could be worthy of a rotation spot for next year. And Max Scherzer's going to be a free agent. Nathan Eovaldi has vested his option, and he's going to be back for next year. But I think this year taught us more than any other year that the depth of starting pitching is absolutely necessary for this team, given the injury history, not just for this season, but for the careers of some of the key guys that you have, Jacob deGrom in particular. So I don't see anything that would be a negative in terms of keeping Kumar around and maybe even testing him out to make the big league roster for next season. So he'll get another outing today. Curious to see how it goes. And then it'll be the final 3 games coming up for the Rangers and their season. They're going to visit the LA Angels in Anaheim, even though their moniker is LA. Angels are done for the year. They're just playing for pride as well. It's always nice to end with a division foe because then it feels like the games have a little more weight to them because you see those teams a lot. And, you know, it's former manager Ron Washington, somebody who the Rangers have great familiarity with. The Rangers fans have great familiarity with. So it should be an entertaining series. A couple of night games on Friday and Saturday, and then on Sunday, it's a day game. All the Sunday games, if I'm not mistaken, start at the same time so that no team is throwing in the towel on the final day, so that everybody starts at the same time, everybody plays with the same value of guys, and etc. But that's going to do it for this episode. We'll have another episode after the season is done, do kind of like a season in review style of episode. We'll hand out end of season awards for the players. Just some fun little stuff to try and bring some light on what has otherwise been a less than memorable season for the most part. So until next time, Bleav in Texas Rangers.